team of volunteers who have made this possible for many years. Louise Freeman. Louise is co-coordinator of the program and the sponsor or donor contact. So if you are a donor, please make, and you haven't met Louise before, now today's going to be your chance. Randy and Alice Tumblin, who are accounting and financial advisement wizards. I'll talk more about them later. Vickie, Christensen, and Molly Badger. They are the family and student contacts in San Antonio, Riberas, Chapala, Ixtlahuacan, and Mezcala. And Margaret and Brian Quinn, who are founding members, 501c3 directors, and overall tireless advocates for SAFE. Two new volunteers who've been learning the ropes and improving them are John Miller, where'd John go? Here's John. And Lester Schwartz, who couldn't join us today. And we could not do all that we must without very dependable behind-the-scenes support from Robert Badgett. Where's Robert? And my husband, Eloy Gonzalez. My role is co-coordinator of the program and student and family contact for the villages and towns of Ajijic, San Juan Cosala, and Jocotepec. We have many local donors who make sure that we have the scholarships needed. And I would ask now that the local donors who are here in attendance, please stand for applause. Mary, I saw you. Bob and Brianna. We have many others. Without you, we could not survive. Next, I want to recognize, although he's not here, Dr. Oscar Ibarra, who's president of the Chapala Sunrise Rotary Club, which has continuously supported the program and many students over the past 10 years. Additionally, I must acknowledge our volunteer technology wizard, Mike Dietrich, but I haven't seen him here today. And these faces behind me are this year's students. The banner was a little too long for the wall. Finally, I would like to introduce one of our long-standing families whose children have been served by SAFE. Please stand. Please give your momentary attention to Miguel Reyes, father of the family, Cynthia Marquez, mom of the family, Lisbeth, who is in her final year of preparatoria or high school, Mariana, who's in her second year of preparatoria or high school, and Santiago, who's in his first year of secundaria or middle school. Because you'll have a chance to ask them questions. Over the last 21 years, at least 1,400 needs-based scholarships have been awarded through SAFE. This year we have 111 meritorious students who we provide with their basics, thus giving them a chance to break out of poverty down the road. The main reason for the program's growth, truly, is the support of the Chapala Sunrise Rotary Club, which adopted SAFE as one of its several important special projects back in 2014-2015, when John Gonzalez, the club's president at the time, encouraged the club to do so. John is here today. Please stand. Thank you, John, for then and for now. That club, Chapala Rotary, has sponsored 10 or 11 students continuously since that time. And that's just the beginning. Some of you know that Rotarians, when they travel, visit other Rotary clubs. So when people happen to come here, and they're Rotarians, and they want to visit Chapala Rotary, they find out information about SAFE, along with the other special projects. Now, not only that, Chapala Rotary sponsors kids, and several of their members also sponsor one or two students, so that's several more. The traveling folks learn about SAFE, or they receive information from the Rotary Club in other ways, sister clubs in the US and Canada, and those clubs take on 5 or 10 kids. And even their individual members take on a handful more. So it just keeps growing. All of that cumulative effect means that 75% of our students' scholarships are either indirectly or directly due, or have been, now due to the Chapala Sunrise Rotary Club's efforts and generosity. So we are so grateful. Some of that configuration is going to change in the future. SAFE Inc. is now a registered tax-exempt organization outlined in Section 501c3 of the U.S. Internal Revenue Code. We have just received our first donations through that designation, and we are hoping to really build on that. We have some other initiatives that emerged as we watched our students' needs over the years. In 2021, we noticed a sharp decline in the grades of some of our heretofore very excellent students prior to COVID. But when COVID hit, we learned that they were trying to attend high school, for example, on a cell phone with a cracked screen. Thus was born one of our very important components, named by Louise as our Connect-A-Kid initiative. We first solicited used devices, tablets, cell phones, laptops, which our safe friend Mike Dietrich cleaned up and updated for free and put on the Google Classroom software. Then Chapala Rotary Club and others donated money so that we could buy new Chromebooks. Chromebooks because they're durable and they last a long time, and they're small and light and they have a keyboard. Since then, we have regularly solicited donations for those new Chromebooks, and are proud to report we have distributed 38 new Chromebooks to date, along with a mandatory class that teaches the students how to use them well. This class is taught by Sandra Jaramillo, a wonderful teacher. The classes are held in Louise's home, typically twice a year, with small groups, 5, 6, 7. You should ask Louise about the joy and the light bulbs that she witnesses every time a class is held in her home. What a difference a computer makes. Another initiative was the research that Margaret Quinn did to put together post-secondary education packets for the older students, since we only fund grades 1 through 12. The packet started with a quick interest inventory and then included information about all the post-prepa programs in the area. This has been very helpful since high schools typically don't provide career planning. Over the years, we've also collaborated with other programs that made sense because we had related interests, such as Change Makers, that was very helpful for young women for quite a while. University and Vocational Assistance, which is a university-level scholarship program. Pathways, which was also a university scholarship program when it still existed. And then I also want to mention we have collaborated all along with the 2 local municipalities, their education contacts, and the public preparatorias or high schools in Hocotopac and Chapala. I want to mention also that Lake Chapala Society several years ago put together a forum of all the scholarship programs in the area, serving all ages, primary through college, and those groups met monthly for about a year. So that was very helpful to have that leadership by LCS to make that happen. Now for the nitty-gritty details that you've been dying to know. But before that, I need to tell you that handouts with this information are available from the team as you leave. We'll have folks out over there. And other members will be at the side table to answer your particular questions or to help you in other ways. So let's talk about student eligibility and family accountability. First, students must need this help. The combined family income cannot exceed more than 8,000 pesos a month, which is roughly 400 US dollars, barely enough to house, feed, and clothe a family. In fact, 13% of our families have a monthly income of 4,000 pesos or less, which is half of our upper limit. Among this year's 111 students, 26 of them, or 23%, live with a single mother, and another 6 live with a single father. So more than a quarter of our kids live with a single parent. Many students live in their grandparents' home with their parents and siblings, as well as aunts, uncles, and cousins. So it's not unheard of for a household to have 13 members of the family there in one bathroom. So income level is one requirement, which is easy for most families who apply to meet. The second requirement is that families must submit receipts for all the scholastic expenses and a new photo of every student each year. And the third requirement is that students must maintain an 80% average or above, and they must submit their grade reports, their official grade reports, twice a year. Now, in order for us, the SAFE program, to be accountable, the SAFE team members carry out a whole bunch of different duties. We collect and review student applications in order to create the waiting list. We request and receive contributions for the scholarships or for the Chromebooks. We personally distribute the scholarships to the families and obtain their signatures. We collect and record and report grades and receipts. And we solicit and save students' photos every year in order to distribute them to their respective donors. Our volunteer accountants, Alice and Randy, maintain extensive records for local use and IRS reporting in the U.S. They also monitor currency exchange rates. You wouldn't believe how important that is these days, the last few years, and they help forecast our long-term needs. They keep us really well organized financially and very transparent. Twice a year, Louise informs all sponsors, whether they're individuals or clubs, of their students' grades and progress, along with updated information about SAFE. Okay. Spreadsheets with complete data about every student who's receiving a scholarship and the ones on the waiting list are continuously updated. Our team members also do publicity, and they help create an annual fundraising event sponsored by the Chapala Sunrise Rotary Club. This year's event, with a denim and diamonds theme, will be March 27th at the Racket Club, and we have tickets available afterward at the side table. Finally, board members in the U.S. maintain all federal and state filing and reporting requirements there, with assistance from our volunteer accountants here. Now, today we invited one of our longstanding families to join us, who you met, in order for me to describe a bit about them, ask them a few questions, give them an opportunity to speak if they want to, and maybe you will ask them a question or two after the presentation. Why did we invite this particular family? Is that me or you? Thank you, Dave. First of all, they have been SAFE participants for many years, since 2015. Lisbeth, Mariana, and Santiago always earned high grades. 9.5 out of 10, 10 out of 10. They also are a real pleasure to get to know. They represent a typical family in our program in many ways. Miguel has always worked as a gardener, and for years Cynthia did not work outside the home. That is the norm for most of our families. Now Cynthia works part-time as a house cleaner. However, this family is also a bit unique in that they have always seemed very focused and planful. One example happened during COVID. Cynthia asked me if she could use some of the scholarship funds to buy a printer. Rather than spend hours and many pesos at the papeleria, printing mounds of worksheets for their homework assignments every week. They smartly use their cell phone and the printer in their home to do all of this, saving so much time and so much stress and so much money, ultimately. This family was also one of the most informative when a few years ago we did some investigating with several families to find out if our scholarships were sufficient for their demands at school. Cynthia was the most informative of all, talking about how every student has to bring to the classroom his or her share of the ingredients for every science project, every art project, whatever assignment it might be. The government pays for the building, the desks, and the teacher's salary, and that is it. Teachers themselves have to spend a lot of money on materials as well. But the students, the families, no matter what their income level, get nickeled and dimed to death throughout the year. And those costs really add up. So, my questions for the family, and they had these in advance, are 5 only, short ones. I will say them first in English and then in Spanish. So this is to all of you. Why have you all as a family valued education so highly? Esto es para todos ustedes. ¿Por qué todos, como familia, han valorado educación tanto? ¿Quién quiere responder?
Yo.
Could they use yours? Only if I turn mine off. José.
¿Es necesario levantarlo?
Es mejor.
Sí. Buenos días, yo soy Cintia Márquez y valoro mucho la educación porque en mi familia tuve 14 hermanos y yo en lo personal no pude estudiar hasta la secundaria solamente.
Okay, so as she had 14 siblings and she could not study past secundaria, so for her it was what her kids did. All right, Miguel y Cynthia, were you always planful people? ¿Siempre fueron personas con planes?
Yo sí. Sí, por carecer demasiado en mi familia, siempre tuve planes a futuro.
She always had plans for her kids. Antes de tu familia?
Sí,
Como joven, como muchacha, como adolescente.
sí, yo también. Yo también en un futuro quise ser un profesional y no fue posible.
She had always wanted to be a professional, but it wasn't possible. Miguel, ¿más? Lisbeth y Mariana, besides the scholarships, what or who has been helpful toward your success in your studies? Además de las becas, ¿qué o quién los ha ayudado a tener éxito?
Bueno, buenos días. Principalmente diría que pues mis papás que han trabajado porque pues nunca nos ha faltado un lápiz, un cuaderno.
So first of all, her parents always made sure she had the school supplies she needed.
Y pues los maestros que pues me han respondido todas las dudas que he tenido.
Okay, so the maestros helped as well. Okay, and they responded to what she was interested in. Mariana?
Buenos días, soy Mariana y a mí me han ayudado mucho mis padres económicamente, también aparte de su gran apoyo de ellos, y pues mis hermanos también, mi hermano pequeño a recordar lo que todavía no recordaba, y mi hermana pues también me enseñó muchas cosas que no había aprendido, que todavía no me enseñaban en la escuela.
Okay.
Entonces fueron de mucha ayuda.
So, of course, her parents, and she thanked us for the becas, but she said her siblings, especially her sister, her older sister, really helped her a lot when she didn't remember something or needed to know something. Sí, gracias. No, no diferente. Okay, los tres de ustedes. I assume you have goals for your future. Can you share those with us? Supongo que tienen metas para sus futuros, los tres de ustedes. ¿Pueden compartirlas con nosotros?
Hola, buenos días. Pues a mí me gustaría seguir estudiando para ser cocinero, chef, y pues ya. Ya no sé qué más decir.
Ah, he wants to be a chef. Gracias. Bueno, qué bueno. Tenemos dos nietos que son chefs. Qué bueno. Ok, Mariana.
A mí me gustaría seguir estudiando en la universidad. Ahorita estoy estudiando gastronomía, entonces me gustaría seguir estudiándolo. Y comida.
Sí.
Ajá, comida. Igual chef. Y pues también enseñar en una escuela cocina, como ahorita que estoy en la prepa.
Okay. So she's interested in being a chef also and wants to go to a chef's school. See? Okay. Oh, teach it. Teach. Okay, thank you.
A mí me gustaría ser maestra en un futuro, comprarme pues un departamento y aprender inglés y otros idiomas.
Okay. So she wants to be a teacher and she wants to learn English and other languages. Great. Thank you, Reyes Márquez,
Ambiciones muy grandes.
¿Sí? ¿Tiene algo? Do you have anything you want to ask or say? ¿Algo que quieren decir o preguntar?
Yo sí quiero agradecer. Sí.
Thank you.
Yo sí quiero dar las gracias a Sandra, en el mexicano.
Venga, dineros.
Sí, porque gracias a ustedes, mis hijos tienen una buena educación y es un trabajo de papás con hijos para poder lograr las metas. Entonces, gracias. Sigan ayudando. Hay muchos niños en todo el mundo, pero principalmente en Ajijic, necesitados. Ahora todo niño necesita un teléfono, un computador, un impresor, porque no lo piden, lo obligan ahora en las escuelas. Entonces, ninguna educación es gratuita. Realmente no lo es. Gracias.
So thanking for all the help so that their kids could achieve their goals, have a good education. She's saying all these kids here need your help. And so please do consider contributing toward computers, cell phones, whatever. So thank you all very much. Muchas gracias por su ayuda y por favor, posible preguntarán más al fin. Might be more questions. As you might expect, we have a never-ending waiting list by word of mouth. Often 40 or more wait for a couple of years to get vetted and then funded. SAFE's team only has 10 volunteers. 2 of them are very recent. We do need more help with all of the tasks that we carefully manage in order to make sure we do this well. We need English-speaking and Spanish-speaking volunteers who can help do or manage one aspect of the program. A volunteer certainly isn't required to be a sponsor. And if you have steadily emerging Spanish, working with the families is a great way to improve your skills. I can personally attest to that. We need sponsors for the students, of course, and this is what we fund. We have primaria student grades 1 through 6 receives 2,500 pesos for the year. A secundaria student, grades 7 through 9, receives 3,000 pesos for the year. And a preparatoria or high school student, grades 10 through 12, receives 5,000 pesos for the year in 2 installments. Or you can always donate toward the Connect a Kid fund for a new Chromebook and instruction on how to use it. Those things last about 7 years. I would like to close with a few more bits of information. First, we have a 16-minute video that will be showing in the sala after the presentation. It is really worth watching. Jennifer Grom, one of the 3 kids who originally founded this, who's now a medical doctor, created this video several years ago when she came to Lakeside and interviewed most of the kids and the families in the program at that time. It is really a valuable video. Second, let me mention briefly a contribution option that you may or may not know. Since we are a 501c3 in the U.S., we have reporting requirements, and we may be audited both in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and federally. Our 501c3 status allows folks to make tax-deductible contributions, although few folks are doing that these days. However, U.S. taxpayers over 70 and a half years old who have IRAs can distribute funds from those IRAs to registered charities and have that money excluded from their taxable income by arranging a qualified charitable distribution, or QCD. If the taxpayer is subject to required minimum distributions, or RMDs, funds that are transferred through the first option, QCDs, can meet that requirement and save the donor as much as 22% of the amount contributed. We have more information about QCDs and experts on that over at our table. We can also give you more information about SAFE and our upcoming fundraiser on March 27th. After the presentation, again at the tables on my right. Please do consider becoming a volunteer or a sponsor or an attendee at the event or whatever works for you. We're also happy to come speak to your particular group if you wish. And for those ready to help, there are sign-up sheets that Margaret has put together in the chairs over there for volunteering for limited amounts of time in various aspects of SAFE and for anyone who wants to sponsor a kid. So thank you for your time and your attention. Now for questions.
I'll come around with the mic.
Just a point of information, if there are Canadians in the group that want to donate, the Chapal Sunrise Rotary Club has an arrangement with a fellow Rotary Club in Canada that is a 501c3 or whatever the agency is, and they can issue tax receipts as well for that money. So if there's Canadians in the group that want to have a tax deduction, it's available through the Chapal Sunrise Rotary Club. Thank you.
How many students are currently on your waiting list?
We had 40 about a month ago. I would say almost 20 of those we've just moved to funded status for August. So now it will rebuild. It's usually 40 to 50.
Hello, my name is Angel Cabrera, Angel Cabrera. I'm Mexican and American. I know the struggle about education. Back then when I was living in Mexico, raised in Mexico, my father never lived with us. I had to start working, I left it, okay? So in those days, I got a scholarship for a prep school. But then, now, the facilities that the federal government is offering to Mexicans, I wish I had them. Enrolling to the Air Force or the military, they can get paid and also a career, doctors, nurses, so many. Now the federal government is offered to every student at all levels scholarships. And they just, do you inquire the parents if they have tried to get a scholarship?
Of course. At Lakeside, we have students that come from Mezcala, Ixtlahuacan, over to the villages beyond Jocotepec. At Lakeside, the AMLO scholarship, basically, that started when he came into office 6 years ago, fund only at the preparatory level, not, there are small helps for families at the primary and secondary, but it's not much. So really the only significant support at Lakeside is the Benito Juarez beca that starts the first year of preparatoria or high school. And those students, our students, once they start receiving that, we exit them from our program.
There's a new program now, free universities, and they're building several universities around the country.
Great. That's much needed. That is the big black hole here at Lakeside, is funding at the university level, because it's so much more than what they need in grades 1 through 12. That's great. Gotta get his attention.
Thank you for being here and telling us about this program. It's all new to us, and so we're getting good information. We're going to go watch the film. At the current time, we are sponsoring 4 young Mexican children from the ages of 3.5 to 17.
Wonderful.
And one of the things we're doing is we opened investment accounts for the 3 youngest children at Activer Bank. We just went to the bank, funded savings accounts essentially for 3 or 4. The oldest, the 17-year-old, we are paying as we go. But we're seeing much of what you described. Several of the children are being raised by single parents in poverty. We found out about 3 of our 4 kids because their grandmother is our housekeeper. And that's how we learned that they couldn't afford, the kids were out of school, they couldn't afford to pay the fees. And so we just said, hey, we can do this. So,
Right.
But anyway, we're going to learn more about your program.
You know that your help is greatly needed.
Thanks for this wonderful talk. Can you tell us about how you interface with the public school system locally for kids who are in need? Do they send you referrals on a regular basis?
They don't. We could drop off applications there, and probably should. We haven't, because we've maintained a pretty large waiting list always in the 10 years plus that I've been working with the program. We don't interface with the schools. We learned it's better for us because our kids are scattered. So it would be so many schools to work with that it's better for us to give the money to the families. Our scholarship is not intended to pay all of their needs, but most of it, so that they too have investment in it, and they have responsibilities to us as well. For us, this model has been working better.
Hey, Ginger, I just wanted to ask, when you sponsor a child, how long is that sponsorship expected?
Great question, thank you. We ask that people are sustainable donors. In other words, don't fund a kid for 1 year and then stop the funding, because then what do we do if we don't have the funds for that kid to continue? And all of our donors agree to do that, the individual donors and the clubs. So it typically goes until the middle of their first year of high school. If they're going to a public high school, 98% of our students get the Benito Juarez beca or scholarship by midterm, by mid-year. And so then we don't ask the donor for any more money for that year, just the first semester's money. And after that, that kid is exited from the program once I can get into the system and find that they are indeed receiving deposits. And then we ask donors if we can replace that kid with a younger one. So it can go ad infinitum if you'll allow it. So, thank you.
If you had 40 new donors, would those 40 kids be in school? And can they go to, do you start in school just at the beginning of a year, or when you get a donor, a new kid can get into the program?
I have to say that one of the things required to enter the program is grades, a grade report from the prior year, or from this current year, as we're planning already for next year. So we get kids in kindergarten, and if we're lucky, we fund them for the first grade thereafter. And yes, so right now we're starting to request donations for August. Does that answer your question?
So what I think you're saying is that they start school in August. If you had donors right now, you wouldn't necessarily start a new student in school.
We don't typically do that unless the donor really wants to.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to confirm what the gentleman over there said. I heard the new president, Claudia Sheinbaum, that she's offering becas or scholarships for children of all ages. So, as you mentioned, the previous president, the becas that he offered, they were not good enough, but maybe perhaps now with the new president, the kids may be receiving more help than before. Okay. And I was wondering as well, in the U.S., we have an investment vehicle by which we can put money into a savings account for a child's studies. And I inquired in one of the banks, like the gentleman here says that he places money in a savings account for the younger children. But I wonder if I had tried to find out if there is one account where the money can be invested investment in the stock market so that the money grows. Because as you know, in a savings account, the money doesn't grow, it just stays there basically by 1%. So if anybody has information about that, it would be great to spread out the information. Thank you.
I don't.
I can answer
The savings account does grow quickly. In Mexico, these investment accounts that we have for 3 of our 4 children, the interest rate is 9.5%. And we're thinking the 3-year-old, by the time she's 17 and ready to go out of school, there'll be quite a bit of money in that account. So the interest rate is really good in Mexico.
Can you mention the bank that you're using?
We're using Acton-Bear. A man named Abraham has been really helpful. Talk to us, Will.
The interest rates are good. There's different accounts. We try to stay low risk, but the interest rates are good, and it's compounded daily.
Great.
Hello, my name is Vickie Christensen, and I become a volunteer to help save. Molly and we actually hand out the money to the families for the kids, every 6 months. I can tell you how touching it is to see these families that they struggle so much. And we are very, when we give them money, it's a very immediate help. Because I just learned that the Benito Juarez is a scholarship that they give to prepa. It's not always, it doesn't come on time. They have to wait, they have to basically beg for it. And that's a government help. SAFE is usually very punctual. We actually follow the families because some of them, they don't have transportation. We go to their families, to their homes sometimes to deliver the funds so they can buy the supplies for the children. I really encourage to all of you to be part of the volunteer part because that is growing. Sometimes we don't have enough time to just go around and just, we make the time, but we would appreciate if anybody can volunteer their time and help with these families and get to learn these families and the children that are involved in this wonderful program. Thank you.
But you'll have to come over away from the,
I might mention all the SAFE volunteers we're all retired. We all have our own very active lives, and thus any help is appreciated.
This past year, the government, the Mexican government, said that children could go to university. Well, I looked it up online last night. For $49 US, they can. That's their tuition to college now. So, yeah. So if we can get them through elementary and prepper here, they have a chance to go on to college at those courses. And now we have on the Libramiento several kinds of degrees are being given. They don't have to spend $10 US going and coming into Guadalajara to college. So just think about if we could get them through school here and they could go on to college, their lives would be changed and their families' lives forever.
Ginger, are there success stories of people that have gone beyond?
So the question is, what happens to the kids after? We don't have the person power to follow up with all our graduates. However, Eloy made a few phone calls a couple of weeks ago, and every single one of them was either applying to university or in university. I would say the vast majority of our students who were making good grades and graduating from Prepa do move on, but some of them take detours. Many of them have to work and save and then go to university. University is a lot more expensive. Even, going back in the transportation, if they live at home here and go back and forth to Guadalajara, that's 5,000 pesos a month, easily. And that's a lot. So, or the same if they have to pay their share of a 6-person, 1-bedroom apartment and their meals. It's at least 5,000 pesos a month. So it's expensive. So that kind of support, knowing that it's cheaper, much cheaper here, is great, because we have a branch of the University of Guadalajara coming, and already here, and building its programs. And then we have the Instituto Tecnológico, which is like a 3-year college. So we do have options here as well. Anybody have questions for the family?
Through Rotary, we're also familiar with similar programs in Honduras and in Costa Rica. And those programs also provide stipends for the families. A lot of these families depend on their children helping them earn an income. So it's not just enough to have the fees paid, it's also to substitute the income that those children provide. And my question is, do you have a similar program to where you provide financial assistance to the families to keep these kids and students in school? And are you planning such a program if you get enough assistance?
We don't do that, and we haven't talked about it. One part of this is to try and keep it really clean. So that's an aspect we shall discuss, but not in the foreseeable future. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Vickie. What portion of male to female students do you look at males versus females? And because there's a saying that if you educate a woman, you educate a village.
There are studies that have shown that making sure the females are educated is really powerful for the long-term success of a family. But we don't exclude or prioritize based on gender. Louise, would you say we're about 50-50? I would. 50-50 male female.
Turn around.
Good question. We do have donors who say, I'd like to sponsor a female in PREPA because, you know, long-term investment, similar to what you're talking about. Any other questions? That's for me. I'm done.
Big applause.